everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Forkin Delicious. If you liked the video, please remember to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and we'd really appreciate it if you did. What I'm going to show you right now is how to make chicken spring rolls. And this is part of the follow-on. You can get a link below to us where we prepare and bone out a whole chicken. So it's the dishes, this is one of the dishes that we created from that whole chicken. Okay, so I have here my frying pan. I have my chicken thighs down here, which I've cooked in the oven. You saw them, you'll have seen them in the video just coming up now. I'm going to lay these in here, and I'm going to season them in here because I just want to mess the board here where we've had the chicken, so that's going for the wash. And this can go into the wash as well. So this is a little spice mix I made up. You'll actually can see it in one of the earlier videos. You'll find a link for it. I think it was in the prawn sandwich one. And you can have a look at that. We're going to put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I have a small little bit of water on the bottom. I'm going to put a little bit of sesame oil, so it's going to give me that little bit of a Chinese kind of flavor taste to it. A little bit of soy sauce, and this is ginger and soy, so I'm just going to put a small bit of that there. And that's it, and that's going to go into a hot oven now. I'm just going to put a bit of tin foil over it. I don't need grease proof because it's not actually, the tin foil won't touch off of the chicken. I have a major issue about tin foil touching off of meat. I don't like it, so I much prefer when if I was putting tin foil on something and it was going to touch the meat, I'd always put greaseproof paper underneath the tin foil.
Why don't you like it touching the meat?
Because years ago, when tin foil wasn't as good and you get some sort of cheap ones, some of the tin foil would come off and flake onto the meat, and it just looked disgusting. So, and it's always kind of stayed with me, and I just have this kind of I kind of have this thing about it now. So this is going into an oven. It's going into the oven at about 160 degrees, and I'll turn that down to about 150 in 20 minutes. It's going to get about 45 to 50 minutes altogether. All right. These are the chicken leg and thighs. So they've been cooking nicely now for about 50 minutes. So I'm just going to leave them cool. And then we're going to go ahead and, make the spring rolls, wrap them and all that. You'll see them being done. Now you've seen that part. We're going to come back here. And in this, what we have is we have some carrot, we have some onion, we have some garlic, and we have some yellow pepper. All right. Just finely chopped. All right. Chop it whatever way you can, whatever way suits you. All right. So we're going to put a little bit of rapeseed oil in here. And also we have a small little bit of spices and soya sauce, and I'm going to go through them individually as I'm adding it to it. But everything is in the description below, all the ingredients for the spring roll and the ingredients for the dipping sauce. I will be going through them in the video, but they're all written down there as well for you. All right. So in the frying pan, a little bit of rapeseed oil. We're going to turn the pan on I'm going to turn on as high as it will go. I have a wok for this induction cooker, but I don't really like it. It's very hard for you to see what's happening and what's going on. And I find this frying pan gets me better heat anyway, quicker heat. All right, so we're just going to let that heat up for a second. This is our spring roll pastry. So I bought this fresh and used some of it and then froze some. So this is taken out and thawed out this morning. And you can get this in any of the Asian markets. I think you can get it online as well with certain companies. So it's easier. It wasn't easy to find maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's everywhere now. You can find it. All right. So that's the spring roll pastry, and I'll show you about how we use that later on when I'm putting it together. But now we have our oil. We have the carrot, onion, pepper, and garlic. They're going to go in here. Now I'm actually going to put them all in, which is something I wouldn't normally do if I'm stir frying, because they're not going to really stir fry. They're going to more sweat. But that's really what I want to happen here. I just want them to sweat, release some flavour and cook a small bit, all right? And while that's happening, I'm going to have a look at this chicken here and I'm going to dice that up and have it ready, all right? So we've just moved our board here to here because of a lighting issue and just to help so you can see everything. And anyway, you'll see it all being kind of put together here. So what we're looking for is to add some more flavour. Yesterday I was looking for fresh ginger. Couldn't get any, but I have some ginger puree here I'm going to use because I just love the ginger. I would have used powdered ginger if I was really stuck, but I have this puree ginger. I love this in spring rolls. Actually, I like it in all kind of anything that's kind of Asian or stir-fried or curries because ginger has that beautiful flavour kind of to it. So, oh, you can smell it here now. So now, this induction cooker is on nice and hot. These are cooking away. And what I'm going to do now, do you get that smell, Shauna, the ginger?
Delicious.
Yeah, delicious.
Delicious.
Forkin good. So we're going to add a small little bit of soy sauce. A little bit of sesame oil for that kind of umami Asian taste. And I have a little bit of sweet ketchup here. This is called ketchup mayonnaise. We've used it before on some of the videos, so you'll have seen it. So it's also used in the making of the dipping sauce. And I'll come on to that again in a couple of minutes. Now I'm just going to cut on this grey board because it's cooked chicken already. So, and I'm actually going to turn this off now. I'm going to add the chicken into it in a minute just to get a nice little bit of the flavours that are in here as well. This chicken is just falling to pieces. It's just the way it should be for this. And it's still so moist as well, which is the other thing that you don't get when you're using the breast. You can just literally shred this with your knife, look. I'm not even cutting it. It's just pulling apart. There's so many uses I could think of for this, you know, even other than spring roll. For sandwiches, for bruschetta, for in a wrap. I mean, this would be delicious. It's going to be super delicious in this as well. Or as they say now, where it's trending on Twitter, Forkin delicious. Do you know? Because apparently nowadays you can say anything is trending. It's very hard to prove it isn't. You know? But you can just see this falling apart. This is going to be delicious in the spring roll now as well. Now, we have to wait for a little while for this to cool down because of two things. One is the moisture and the heat would not be friends with the spring roll pastry. So it won't, it'll actually start tearing holes in it, the moisture will, and the heat would as well. So what we need to do is we need this to cool just a little bit. So we're just going to spread it out and we're going to let it cool for about 15 or 20 minutes. There's not too much moisture in it. The chicken is soaked up some there, the vegetables. It's not swimming or anything in juice, so it won't affect the pastry that much. So we're just going to let this cool now. So I'll just put it over here. And we're just going to let that cool for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll just keep giving it a little stir every now and again. But I think this is going to be really, really tasty. All right. I'm going to season it too before I put it into I'm going to season with a small bit of salt and pepper. I know it's got soy sauce, that's got salt. You can always taste it, see if you think it's seasoned enough for you. And then it's up to yourself whether you want to add more or not to it. But try not to add more liquid after this stage where it's cooling. Even sometimes I would put this in a colander and let it drain a small bit if it was particularly wet, but this isn't, right? but if it was, I would have let the juice drain out of it. You'd still be keeping all the flavour, but what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't add more soya sauce just before I go to wrap it, because you're adding more moisture again. Instead, I would add some salt, you know, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, only if you think it needs it, all right? So now, that's our spring roll mix cooling, and we'll be going on there after, in 20 minutes time, we'll be going on to actually stuff the spring rolls, roll them, and we're actually going to bake them in the oven here, right? We're not going to deep fry them. So we're going to bake them in the oven, and they're going to be just as nice, but the secret to baking them in the oven is that you need it to be at a high temperature, and you need them to be brushed on the outside with either some butter spray or a little bit of oil. The spring rolls, you need them nice and generously brushed with some oil so that they crisp up, the skin crisps up on the outside. So in 20 minutes we'll be back to these. So now our mix has cooled down for our spring rolls, and we're ready to start rolling them. Like I said to you, moisture is not your friend here with spring roll pastry, or heat. You're always looking to eliminate the two of them when you're putting your things together, especially if you want to make a good few and have them, you know, in a couple of days' time. But what I would recommend is that you do them, make them and freeze them. Use everything nice and fresh in your ingredients, and then make your spring rolls, layer them up with greaseproof paper and freeze them, and then you can take them out and cook them as you need them, all right? So if you want to take out only 1 or 2 or 3, you can, all right? And like I said to you, we're not going to deep fry ours, which is the normal way of cooking spring rolls. We're going to cook ours in the oven. So on the tray here, I've just put a little bit of rapeseed oil and a little bit of sesame oil, right? And for that, it'll just give that little bit of flavour and a little bit of moisture, right? I'm not deliberately looking to cook, not to deep fry these. It's just I don't have a deep fried fryer. So you've got to find your way around things when you want to do something. You know, you shouldn't let, because you don't have something, let that stop you from trying something or doing something. And I think I've done these before lots of times. They turn out perfect, all right? So what you need is the oven at a high temperature to finish them, okay? Because you want them to crisp up quickly on the outside. Everything is really cooked already, so you don't want it to take so long for them to crisp up on the outside that everything in the center gets dry and overcooked, all right? So we're looking for high temperature to kind of seal the deal on these and finish them. So this spring roll pastry, you have to keep it covered, all right? And don't worry if there's a few holes in it or anything, because you can always work around them, all right? So when I was first starting these, right, I saw people, they would roll them this way, you know, like a square, then roll in the ends. So that's not the right way, all right? Keep this covered, stop this drying out, all right? And what you're looking for here is that less is more in your mix if you want the stuff to stay in your spring roll, okay? So less is more. So that's a generous, this is going to be a generous spring roll, right? Okay? So what we're looking to do here is fold this over, drag it back a small bit, fold it again, keep kind of dragging it back so you're keeping it tight. Then you're folding in the ends, right? And you're really folding them in because you want to reach that peak here in the middle, all right? And you'll see if we don't really roll them in nice and tight, that's not going to happen, right? That's going to be perfect now. That little bit where the sauce is going to seal up. And then when it comes to the very end here, you just have a brush with a little bit of egg yolk on it. Just give it a little dab. Doesn't have to be mad. And that's your spring roll made. Okay? So that's one. We put in there with our oil. So we're going to speed it up here now. And we're going to do all of these. So the next time you look here, you're going to see that there's, and there they are. So 11 spring rolls, not 10. Now, these, I'm just going to give these a little spray with some oil, and they're going to go into the oven at about 190 in your home oven. And you just have to watch them. They'll take maybe up to, from anything from 10 to, we'll say 20 minutes maximum. If they're anything later than that, take them out because they'll be actually crunchy. They might look a bit pale, but you'll be overcooking them and over drying them out, all right? So what I'm going to do here is just give these a spray. I have some oil and some sesame oil on the bottom, and I'm just going to give them a really good spray so that they have a little bit of a coating before they get going. There we go. So these are going to go into the oven now. and we'll see them coming out later on. All right. That's the one that Sean had done there, so it's a little bit wrong. All right. So don't worry about that. Now, tell me you wouldn't know that they were out of a fryer.
They look crispy.
Yeah. These are the spring rolls. 11 of them. What I'm going to do is just place them on this sharing plate again. Stack them. And I'm going to cut open one for you to see, just so you can see the inside of them and see what they're like. And I've just picked one at random. So cut this across at an angle. If I was being really chefy, I would have cut off the end so they could kind of stand up. But really all we want you to do is to be able to, can you see that? You look? You see that?
Yeah.
And so like on our little one there, so and there's our little, we'll put that up here beside this and maybe you can see that way. Is that okay?
Yeah.
The dipping sauce that we have in this here is, by the way, is some Chinese brown vinegar, some light soya sauce, some sweet soya sauce, some chopped garlic and some chili flakes. And the recipe again, the recipe with the measures and everything is in the comments down below. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like and click the bell. And myself and Shauna will say thanks very much.